friends, welcome to Discoveries in Mixed Media. My name is Jovi with Creating with Jovi, and I'm so thankful that you are here with me today, and I hope that you will get something from these videos. If you're interested in collage and mixed media, that's what we're going to be doing here. And just so that you know, I have done a collage class previous to this, and towards the end, we started to introduce some mixed media techniques. So you might want to get a peek at that if you're interested in those. They will be mentioned in the title, so you'll know what we were working on specifically in those videos. But I wanted to, today we're going to be doing edges, because sometimes edges are overlooked. So I wanted to talk to you about that. We're going to create a piece, but I wanted to show you a few pieces that I've already created. Some have edges and some don't, and then we're going to add different kind of edges to each one of these pages after we create our main piece. But I just want to share with you, since we're doing edges, some simple ideas for edges. Washi tape going down the edge, and you can see here I just did washi tape on part of the edge, so that's an easy edge. And then on this one I did a stencil. I just took my stencil and I went all the way around the page, and it really completes it. So I wanted to share those. Those are two really super easy ways to add some interest to the edges of your pages. And even on this one, back to this one with the washi tape, we used a stencil and we got pretty close to the edge, so we don't have too much. A little bit here's a little bit plain, but you know, it is nice to have some good stuff on the edges. And so I've grabbed a stack of pieces that really don't have much on the edge. And so I thought what we would do is decide what we wanted to do on the edge of each one of these, or as many as we can think of, and we'll go ahead and put edges on. And so I just wanted to show you that I pulled all of these that we can play with today. Now, in case you don't have pieces to start with like I do here, and you might have a stash of stuff that you've created that you're like, you know what, it could use a little more pizzazz to it. Let's add some edging. You can go back and do that. So let's set these aside. Let's go ahead and create a fresh piece for today so that you can create along with me. So let's go ahead and start by creating a collage. And I can see I'm going to need to back up a little bit. So we're going to create a collage, and then we're going to do sort of an edge to it, and then we'll go in and show you the different edge techniques. Does that make sense? I hope so. So if you would like to either create a collage or an art piece, go ahead and do that. We can do that together. You know, if you're going to do an art piece, then go ahead and get your materials out and get started on that. And I'm just going to do it's just going to be a pretty big collage unless I cut her down a little bit. And I might do that just to make it a little more so I can handle it a little bit better. But let me just get her cut out, and then we'll decide from there. All right, so I have decided, I don't know what you're working with, but I'm working with a big face, you can see. And I've decided I want to go ahead and cut some of her off here so that I have some room to play with around here. I think that's going to be important for me and make my collage a lot more fun if I have some space to do something there. I've got this trimmed down. Now I want to decide what I want around her before I start gluing, because I'm going to want those pieces to go down first. All right, friends, let's go over our elements real quick. I chose her. She's extremely bold, and I just thought that would definitely help me to be creative. And I chose this because I thought it went nicely. There's some brown tones here, and I think that they look good together. And then I chose this because they just bounce off of one another, and I thought that was really neat, so we'll see how we're going to combine these. And then I chose some butterflies. I don't love butterflies, or any images actually, that have this white rim around them, but I figured, you know, since we're working on mixed media, we can go in with markers and cover them, we can ink them, you know, there's all kinds of things that we can do to get rid of that white edge, including cutting it off. So I thought, and that's kind of cool. So anyway, I grabbed these because I thought, you know what, let's put some of those in here as well. So I think what we're going to do, and you can see I'm starting with this very bold piece of cardstock. And I chose it because look how it is with her. Now, most of it's probably going to be covered, but if any's peeking out, it'll be okay because it's kind of intense and bright. And I like that, although I do feel it's mainly going to be covered. So let's get started. I'm just going to start tearing. I'm going to tear, and then I'm going to glue on to this. And since this video is not about collage, actually, it's about mixed media, and we want to make sure we have time to do the edges. I'll go ahead and do the collage in fast speed, and you can just watch and see how it comes together, and then we'll be ready to put our edges on the page. How does that sound? All right, we have the majority of our piece ready. I am going to go ahead and go around these edges with marker and get them colored in. And then I might go ahead and go around all of these edges with something, also just to add a little extra to it. My friends, this piece is now ready for an edge. And I've decided I'd go ahead and go around it with white and maybe white and gold, big polka dots. That's what I'm thinking. Not big, not giant, but just big polka dots. And I thought to get the size polka dot we want, I need to find some, well, here we go. What do you think about this? I think this will work. If it'll lay flat for me, it's a little bit crooked on there. I don't know if you can tell, but we're gonna try this first, okay? So this is a super easy way to add interesting edge to your page. It's just acrylic paint. It costs maybe $1.50, maybe $2 at a craft store or even a Walmart, Target, those places as well. I will tell you this, you get what you pay for, and I don't actually recommend the Apple Barrel brand. I've tried it, and it's garbage. It's basically watered down paint, and it's terrible. So I would spend the extra 50 cents and get the better quality. Unless you want a watercolor, and you could probably use apple barrel for watercolor. They're just so thin, it's ridiculous. Like if you're going to paint something with them, it takes several coats, and it shouldn't. Like I would not want to go over my circles again just because it was translucent. How are you liking the polka dots? I like them. I think they're different. I might go in between them with the gold. I'm not sure yet. Once I'm done, I will have a look at it and see. And then if we are done with this one, then I can show you some different kinds of edges on those other pieces that I showed you in the beginning of the video. Now, of course, if you're working with paints, you got to remember that you got to give them time to dry before you handle them too much. I did not measure in between my polka dots. If it was important to you, you certainly could mark your paper prior to doing this. But I don't worry about that kind of stuff so much. Oh, I just smeared it because I had plastic on my table that I didn't see. So I'm going to get that off the table, and I'm going to see if I can repair that. It's a little bit of a smear, not the end of the world. There, that's not too bad. I thought it might be fun to put some polka dots on her fingernails, so that is what I'm doing now. The other nails are covered up, or this one I should say is covered up by the word sun. So here's what we've got so far for our edges. We could leave it like that, but I say since we're playing, let's go ahead and play a little bit more, and let's add some gold in between the white. Hopefully I haven't overcrowded it and it'll fit okay. This gold is Artist Loft. It's called Old Gold, and it is acrylic paint. I wanted to let you know if you didn't have one of these, this little foam thing, I got it in a multi-pack, but if you don't have one, a pencil eraser works great. Anything with a round bottom, even like a larger foam brush has a nice, perfectly round bottom to it, and you could dip that in the paint and use that to create circles. So here she is, our gorgeous lady with her polka dot background, and I love this piece. I love how it turned out, and I'm really happy with it. Now I want to show you some other ideas for creative edges. Quick reminder of the ones I showed you in the beginning. This one has washi tape. You could go all the way around with washi tape, or you could simply use a little piece like I did. And then on this one, the whole page has been gone around with a stencil. Now I know this is really basic, but just so that you know, because I don't want to miss anything, even the basics, you can have hard edges or you can have torn edges. And to tear your edges, you can use a ruler, or you can go freehand with it. So here I am, I'm using a ruler and I'm tearing it, and you can see that it gives it, it's a straight edge, but it's got, I don't know, we can't really call it texture, but it's got, hopefully you can see it. I'll leave it here and I'll zoom it in. It's a little crooked, it's a little frayed, but not out of control. Now on the other hand, when you go freehand, and we'll just use this, do I want to use this one? Let me take a quick look. This one, I don't care about this one. So this one, if you're going to go freehand, it's a little looser. Oh, and I grabbed 2 pages, and now I'm tearing 2 pages, which I didn't intend to do. I think one's my painting. Let's have a look. Indeed it is. So there it is, hand torn, and you know, I think you can see the difference. There's a lot more white on the edge here, and so that's the difference there. Now once you've torn your edge, you can go ahead and use an ink pad to add a little color, or you can use marker to go over the edge. And what's kind of cool about the marker is you have a large variety of colors if you have markers. And it's really easy. You just glide your marker right down the edge and you can see the intensity on that. That's pretty nice. And since I tore this one accidentally, I'm going to go ahead and add, since I have the blue out, I'll add the blue edge to this as well. So when I was at the beach, I drew this picture from my hotel room. And I don't consider myself to be an artist in this way, but I am happy with how it turned out. And I think it was fun that I did it on a book page. So far I've shown you tearing, that you can use markers, you can use ink, or you can use paint like we did on our fantastic lady over here. Remember our circles? You could also brush it on straight. You can also do some freehand work. I like to do sort of like scroll lines like this. You can't really mess them up. They're really easy to do. So you can make marks like this around your page. You can also add any kind of trim that you would like. Lace, flower trim, any of these would work great around a page. This would be a little bit thick, but you could still put it on an edge and it would actually be kind of cool. We'll leave it out just to see if it would work with one of these. I don't think it will because it's pretty big, but you can use something like this around your page, this, and then of course lace, which is what we're going to go ahead and use down one edge of this page here. Here's a spare piece of trim. It's just a scrap. This is great to use. You know, keep your scrap trims because they are really great to use on your pages. And when you're making a page edge, you do not have to go around the entire page if you don't want to. I'm just going to use one edge. You can use Fabri-Tac to adhere it, 3-in-1, or you can use glue, hot glue, which is what I'm going to use right now. You can choose to hang your trim off of the edge of the page so you can see it from the other side, which if this goes into a journal, that's kind of a nice touch. I like to see it hang over a little bit like that. Another thing you can do is burn the edges of your paper, and I recommend that you are very careful about this. Have some water near you and only do an inch at a time. And that way nothing will get out of control. Now when you're done doing this, of course you have to rub the edges and make sure you get little pieces that are going to break off. You know, just go ahead and get those off. And you might, instead of getting right into it, you might be able to go up close to it without catching it. This is super old paper and it's super dry, so it's catching really easily. And you know, I didn't even think of it, but if you have a heat tool might burnish the edges for you. I haven't tried that. Something to think about though. You know, and maybe I will try that. I'm going to give that a try and see what happens. I'm going to move this over here. All right, so that was a pretty cool experiment with the heat tool, and you can see that it did burnish it, and it did it in stripes. Now, it also affected the picture and curled it a little bit. So I'm hoping if I put it under a book, it'll lay back down flat. So I'm going to clean up the edges. I'm going to just rub these off, and we'll take a look at this. All right, here it is. I really like the results. For a safer way to get the brown around the edges, you can always use your brown ink, but this does provide for definitely a unique look, and just the way that it burns and it's a little bit unpredictable. I really like the way that this turned out. All right, my friends, I know that we have only scratched the surface of different ways to add interest to the edge of your pages. We have our burning, we have lace, trim or even fabric can go right down the edge of your paper. It can go down one edge or go all the way around. We have mark making basically. You can choose any shape that you want with a marker and utilize that and create a nice design. This one we went down, remember with the blue marker, we tore it and then we went down it with the blue marker. Hard to see it, but it's definitely there. And this side we didn't do that, so you can see the difference. It's definitely more intense over here and I really like it. It's more interesting. This was similar. This page got torn and we went right down the edge with the marker and you can see that. This one, we went down the edge with the ink. Super easy. Most of us have ink, but if you don't, just use your markers. This one, we went down with paint and we used a circular foam brush. You could use any shape you wanted, or you could simply put paint on a brush and just brush it. Or you could put it on a rag and do circles, and maybe we'll do that one day. But those are other ideas using paint. And then we have, remember, stenciling. Super easy to do it right around your page and definitely adds a really nice level of interest. And then this was washi tape. So, and it's only here, but that's just to show you that that's all you have to do. And then, of course, these are other stencils and they're hitting pretty close to the edge. So we've come up with a lot. If there was one that you wanted to see me do that I didn't do, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to add that to another video. Next week, I'd like to use yarn and string in our creation. So most of you have that around. Hopefully you do. If you don't, you can always pop into the thrift store and grab some for next to nothing. Or a friend or neighbor might have some. Or if you have a piece of clothing that's got a loose string on it, pull it. So next week, yarn and string, that's what we'll be creating with. Thanks for watching. See you soon.